Can you guys see me? Sending you so much love today. I'm so excited to see you for our coaching session. Can you guys see me yet? Yay! Rena sees me, Sherry sees me, Sheila sees me. Then I am real. And welcome to our coaching session for March. This is it's kind of a bonus session. I mean, I know we have a lot of different things that we call bonus sessions, but this is a bonus session where I take all of your questions. Very much like a professor with my readers in the morning and my coffee, I go through and I answer your questions. And then I come in to share my wisdom with you. It's one of my favorite parts of our month here in Soul Shift. I want to say hi to you. I want to tell you it's great to see you. You might get tired of hearing me say that, but and I also want to wish you a blessed new moon in Aries, which I don't know about you. I am so ready for this new moon, for this reboot. This new moon in Aries officially starts the zodiacal year, the astrological year. So this is a new year of sorts tonight. And I love the idea of a new year. I've got sniffles, by the way. But it's because my allergies are up the yin-yang. That's what my grandma used to say. Would you like me, darling, to do this in professor voice? I actually could get my readers and do the whole dramatic. So tonight we have ceremony at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I hope you can make it. I've got a really beautiful ceremony planned for you. We're going to set intentions, individual intentions, and then we're going to set collective intentions, and we're going to set planetary intentions tonight. It's going to be a great ceremony. Okay. I love to see you too. Are yours up the yin yang too? Sheree. I know. It is a fiery new moon. It's kind of like, it's kicked my ass a little bit, to be honest. It's like, go, do it, go, 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 go. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like go time. This feels like no time. And yet the moon is like, shut up and just do it. Full Aries, right? Anyway, here we are, here I am, and I'm glad that you're here. Okay, I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to get to as many as I can live with you before 4 p.m. Pacific time, which is when we stop, and then whatever I don't get to, I follow up in an audio. I'm glad you're here. Okay, it's actually really funny because we're going to get, not funny, but it's timely. We're going to get started. The first question that came in, by the way, is from Cassandra Newman, and it's a point of I don't know if she would call it a critique. It's a point of feedback for me, and also a request for me to not do so much of what I'm doing right now. So let me share with you what she said. She said, is it possible to have comments or group chat with Athena before class? The last few weeks, we've not gotten to the content until 45 minutes or later into the class, and then it feels rushed, which I apologize for that. I didn't realize that you guys were feeling like the content was rushed, or even if it's just Cassandra, I'm sorry that you felt like that. She said, or can we identify the first 30 minutes for interacting with the group? As a newbie, it can be tough to justify the investment of time and resources when the live classroom is just saying hi or chatting for so much of the time. So I will tell you, this is a challenge for me. Yeah, but I'm rising to the occasion. But my biggest flaw as a teacher, Cassandra, and I'm being completely bare bones, candid, honest, authentic with you, is that I digress. And I like to say hi to everybody in the feed, you know what I mean, as a way of like welcoming us into the space. Because I feel like sometimes, like if I just logged on and started teaching, it might feel more efficient, but it might not feel as connective, if that makes sense. So if you have felt that the content has been rushed because I spend too much time at the beginning welcoming everybody or saying hello and things like that, I really do sincerely apologize. I want to use your time wisely. I don't want you to feel like I'm squandering your time or that the investment, to her point, is not worth it to you. And so I completely understand. I do my best. I'm actually a little bit better than I used to be about not digressing as much and staying on point. So what I think I will try to do, I mean, I still spent 5 minutes or so, maybe it was more like 7 minutes, saying hi to everybody, welcoming you in. To her point, she says that we haven't gotten to the content until 45 minutes in. And so I will do my best as a commitment to you, Cassandra, and just know I am very open to feedback because I'm constantly trying to make the experience better for you, effective for you. You know, I really am here for you. I'm not here for myself. And so, and I do try to make sure, especially right now, I hope that you feel like the investment is worthwhile. I will tell you, I am doing my absolute best to give as much as I possibly can into this container because of how much I appreciate your presence, and because of how seriously I take this time as well as your learning. So, anyway, let me try and manage that and do a better job. And like I said, I want to thank Cassandra for being vocal and sharing that feedback. And it's a good reminder for me, you know what I mean, to try and make sure that I say hello and greet everybody, but that it doesn't cut too much into the content time. Even now, I tried, Cassandra, hopefully you can, I don't know if Cassandra's live today or not, but when you see this, Cassandra, hopefully you see that even now I'm trying to sort of like cut off the hellos a little bit to get into the questions so that you don't feel the delay. So I try. I do try. But you're not the only one. I mean, that has been a challenge for me, and I'll tell you something, it goes back to my professorial days. So when I was a professor, just to fully explain my perspective a little bit, when I was a professor of graduate school, which is what I taught mostly, I taught weeknights from 6 to 9 or 6 to 10 p.m. So I had my graduate students with me for 3 or 4 hours. And so a lot of times there was, when I was teaching graduate school in particular, the conversations that we would get into during those, you know, chit-chat kind of digression parts of the class were at that time what my students said they valued the most. And I'm still in touch with a lot of my students on Facebook, more than 1,000 of them actually on Facebook personally. And it's really nice to see them growing up and having families. And a lot of them were older than me at the time. So now they're in retirement and I get to track them. But even all these years later, what a lot of those students tell me is, you know what, thanks for saying hi to me, or like asking how I was feeling, or, you know what I mean? Because in those moments, I learned actually more from you sometimes than I even did during our technical class discussions. So I don't want to, an extreme reaction to this would be no chit chat, no hello, we just dive in. Unfortunately, what I can't give you, just because of time, I can't give you an extra 30 minutes ahead of it to schedule another 30 minutes before class, because of the fact that the classes are already 2 hours long. So I can't give you another half an hour on top of that, but I can try to be more efficient. But I just wanted to explain my whole thinking process. You know what I mean? Because for some people, they are kind of here for the personal connection and the fact that I actually do see you, I do think about you, I do wonder how your kids are doing, I do watch your personal Facebook posts, like I am kind of keeping up with our community. And so some people are here for that. But I want to make sure that I balance, you know what I mean? The best outcomes are always balanced outcomes, so please know I'm taking your feedback really seriously too. And thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, we have to have, you bet. And I'm glad that you're there, Cassandra. So yeah, the conversation is fun, but maybe what I can do is say the hellos and kind of get us started, and maybe save a little extra time at the end might be a good way of balancing that, so that, you know, the people who are here like nuts and bolts, let's get to the content, get what they need, and the people who are here who really want to just connect, do you know what I mean, also feel like they get what they need to. So thank you for that. And thank you for the comment. And just know, if there's something about the experience that isn't sitting well with you, isn't resonating, that I can fix, I will always try. And I don't have ego about it. You know, it's not like, well, this is how it is if you don't like it. You know, it's like I said, I see myself as in service to you. And part of being in service to people means responding in an affirmative way, acknowledging my own flaws and limitations. And the digression stuff is a straight up flaw. So in some ways it has served me well in my life. And then in other ways it's a good reminder, like, you know what, just not so much. So thank you for that. Sherry said she'd have a better experience if she could just live with me. That's a bed right there. So anyway, I am here for you, and I will do my best to be mindful of that too. Crystal Scarlett said, I was wondering if perhaps Team SG could put together all the astrology notes from 2019. It's a great suggestion. So it can be accessible in one place as a little booklet guide to be able to look at loved ones' charts and read from them and just understand it better. Let me know. So this is a question I'm going to turn over to Alexis. Alexis, could you share this feedback back with our team who might actually be able to do this and put into some sort of condensed form the 2019 materials? Now, if it takes my team a lot of time to do this, I may have to charge for it, because obviously if it takes hours and hours and hours to condense and compile all of this, then I have to pay them to do that. So let me look into this and see what it would actually take. If it's super easy and if we can stay organized and it doesn't take my team that much time, great, I'll put it together free to you, of course. If it's something that takes them a day or two of manpower, 16, 20, 24 hours of time, then I may say, well, here it all is, but it's, a $5 download or something like that. I may have to do something like that. But I will avoid doing that if it's something super easy peasy for the class to be able to do. Now, Bianca does organize a lot for our community. And so you guys let me know if there's something beyond what our beloved Bianca is doing that you would find useful that Team SG can work on. I do have my marketing team working remotely at home, and so I still have part of my staff working. And Bianca, I want you to know, I've told you this before, but I'll tell you again, how absolutely grateful I am for all that you do. Alexis and I both are, which is why we brought you a treat back from Tucson. We are grateful to you immensely for the time that Bianca takes, really out of just the kindness of her heart, to keep everything organized too. So we love you and thank you for that, and just keep us posted. Like I said, again, we are in service to you. We want to make information accessible to you. One thing I've thought about teaching, not right now, like in the midst of all the cray, but like maybe in a couple of months, this would be a good bonus class. Quick and easy chart reading, like a 2-hour bonus class. Like, what does Athena do when she prints out a chart and she's going to interpret it for somebody? Not super deep dive, do you know what I mean? But like nuts and bolts basics. What are the 10 or 15 things that would you like this? Okay, this may even be a better solution. That way I don't have to put my team on stuff. Alexis will take notes when we do this bonus session. And so it'll just be like, hey, because I do this for people all the time. And what's funny is they're like radically impressed by it. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's just the 10 or 15 like quick, easy hits, right? Okay, so let's hold that actually instead of going to my writing team, who are feverishly working on other things right now and doing the best they can from home. Why don't we, Claire and Alexis, why don't we schedule a bonus class for May maybe, or June? And I will do that. So what I'll do it as a bonus. I mean, for me, I can do it in my sleep. It's not hard. And that way it saves my writing team, right, from having to do all of that. And so what I'll do is I'll print up a chart and I will just walk you through the interpretation of like the 5 or 10 or 15, like, again, quick hit things, easy to analyze. And I think it'll give you as much as you need. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And Priscilla's like, you can find a lot of that online, and you can, but sometimes it's nice to actually hear step by step, like, here's how I do it, or here's where I look, or here are kind of the patterns I look for, or here's some quick hits that I give to people. And again, for us, it seems kind of simple, right? But for other people, it's like, it's monumental how much insight and wisdom they gather from something like that. Yeah, well, and Shauna's asking, can we talk about how to be leaders, priestesses, role models, way showers, and examples to our community during this time? That's going to be a lot of what we're going to talk about coming up in session 1 of April, Soul Shift, Pillars of Priestessing, because I'm going to dedicate some time during that first class to talking about what it means to priestess during times of crisis and change. And so that's already going to be part of the curriculum. But I'm grateful that you voiced it, because it affirms to me that we need that too. Is that helpful for you guys? Woo! That's awesome. Michelle Miller says she's making books for her mom and her sister with their natal chart info and stuff. So, I mean, I just think it, and here's the thing. If you're super well-versed, you may not need it. You don't even have to listen to the bonus class. So if it's not interesting to you, the nice part about doing this kind of like ad hoc content is if it's helpful for you, you can watch it and incorporate it. And if you're like, I don't need that, then on you go. But thank you, Crystal Scarlet, for asking, because we wouldn't have had this conversation otherwise. Yeah. While the Starseed Origin, Roots of the Soul, you would want to go back and purchase December Soul Shift of 2019, which is when I taught the Starseed content. And you can go back. So if there's a month from last year where you're like, I wish I would have gotten that, you can actually go back and just buy that month's content. And then you have access to all of that information. So that's one option for you as well. And cheers. Okay, so here we go with more questions. I don't know who sent this question in because there isn't a name, but it's probably on a lot of our minds. It says, what would be the best crystals to use during this COVID phase? Something for the fear, for the lungs, for anxiety. One thing I wanted to show you, and I'm not showing you this to tempt you into buying it, but it is something that we had made for Sage Goddess 4 or 5 months ago, maybe even 6 months ago now. And you may not have seen these just because I haven't been talking about product as much as I usually do. I've been trying to talk more about like energy. But this is something good to have if you don't have it. These are sodalite pyramids. And we had these custom made for SG. These went live yesterday. And so this is the fear releasing stone. This is the stone that helps you with nightmares when you're sleeping, helps you to sleep better. So the reason I had these made is because I wanted one for under my bed and for under Zoe's bed, because she and I are the ones who have sleep interruption issues. So, and mine tends to be, I'm having like prophetic dreams right now. And so they wake me up in the middle of the night. What I'm trying to do is wake up, write down everything that I'm seeing and feeling so that I can go back to bed. So I'm starting to keep a little notepad by the bed, small, because I don't want to turn my bedroom into an office. It's not energetically feng shui wise. It's not good to do that. But I am keeping a little notebook and a pen just so that if I see prophetic things in my dreams, I can write them down. But if you're having fear, this is the fear stone. Now, sleep is amethyst, right? So you could combine the two. These are new in the shop today too. I'll be going live online later to show these things to everybody else. Did you see these? Everything we're showing you right now is either from Tucson or it's things that we ordered a long time ago. We have these phantom amethyst pendants in the shop today. And do you know why I love these? As a little girl, I was obsessed with chandeliers. Maybe most little girls were, but I was like if I saw a chandelier, I had to stop and look at it and touch it and connect with it. And these to me looked like amethyst chandelier drops as necklaces. So that's a good one. Those are two good stones to connect with. For breath, breathing stones, heart chakra and solar plexus. So go through your collection of crystals and start looking at what you have for heart and for solar. Citrine, bloodstone, carnelian, or not carnelian, aventurine is good too. Any pink opal's really good, and people are talking about that for breath. And so those are because you want to open the diaphragm. And physically, that's about heart chakra. So breathing stones are going to be those particular stones. Aren't they pretty? Okay, so that was for that. Angelica asked, how do I work to balance an overactive sacral chakra? The most important thing is to actually, last month's content was completely focused on that, Angelica. So if you go back to February Soul Shift, I think you're going to find a wealth of resources. We talked about it during our live classes too. But keep this in mind when it comes to chakra balance overall. The goal with chakra work is alignment. If you're overactive, if you're underactive, the medicine is the same because you ultimately want to come back to center. And so what I would tell you is whether you're trying to tamp it down or whether you're trying to rev that engine up, you're going to be doing the same things. Visualizing the sacral chakra, working with your crystals and tools, because your body, and I'm talking about your energetic body, your etheric body, and your physical body, The goal of your body at all times, and hear me when I say this, okay, because this may be one of the more important things that I say during today's coaching session. The goal of your body at all times, your physical body and your etheric body, is homeostasis. It's health and balance and alignment. Your body is constantly trying to get back. Now, sometimes different factors, whether it's disease or weather or medication or whatever, forces your body into a state where it can't find that balance and it needs help. But most of the time, if you stop and settle, and this is a really good time for you to stop and settle right now, is to remind yourself, and you can even put your hands over each one of the chakras in your system, right? Top of your head is crown, third eye is here, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral is between the testes and the ovaries, and then root is where the root is. Put your hands there, call your energy into present time, and invoke balance. Imagine your entire energy system, your central nervous system, which is what we really call it. Central nervous system is the Muggle term for your chakras. And so really just calling it in, because like I have an overactive sacral chakra. All I am is passion and creation. I want to go and do and feel and create and have an orgasm, and then go and do and feel and create like all the time. Underactive sacral chakra is I'm uninspired. I have no sex drive. I don't want to be connected to anybody. I don't feel passionate about anything. That's underactive. Those two people, me and that person, are exactly the same. Because the goal is to be somewhere between us, right? It's good. That's right. So the etheric body extends about 12 inches outside. And in my experience, having seen the etheric body during medicine journeys, it's not like it's exactly 12 inches. It's not like I can take a ruler and measure it. But there is a, and this might be helpful for you to visualize. I'm a lion for sure. There is the, as far as I have seen, and I've seen it hundreds of times in different medicine journeys that I've done over the last decade, about 6 to 12 inches outside of your body, including your hands, it looks like a web. And it's actually sticky. Like in medicine space, you can play with it. You can you see that you can pull that and you can move it and you can connect your hands together. And then you can see how what your hand does because this has an energy field. And so in medicine space, you can actually see what starts to happen as your hand gets closer and the fields merge, because you can see the flower of life coming out of your hand and you can see the flower of life in this. And they affect each other. It's, no matter how long I live, that will always be the reason I have faith in a higher power than myself. Because I've seen whether you want to call it God or source or whatever, I have seen what source created. And so you have a field, I have a field, and when we are within 12 inches of each other, we affect each other's fields. Part of what makes me sad about social distancing is we have really impaired our ability to impact each other, although the virtual connection is very, very powerful. So your PEF, your personal energetic field, is the same thing as your aura. I call it PEF because I think the word aura, I don't even think people know what they're talking about anymore. Like, oh, my aura, do you see my aura? And it's like, not unless I'm clairvoyant. And even then, I might not see your aura. I can feel your aura. I can impact your aura. So aura for me is one of those words that's like lost all its meaning. Like, oh, you have such a glowing aura. And it's like, yeah, everybody has a glowing aura, right? So I call it the personal energetic field. You can call it the auric body or the auric field. We're all talking about the same thing. It is sticky. It literally, like, as soon as you start to get kind of close to it, it starts to vibrate, and then there's a point at which the two energy fields collide, and when you pull them apart again, they're both different. Because everything I do affects you, and everything you do affects me. And so, we could honestly, I could stay online with you from now until midnight tonight talking about, does the virus have an auric field? I think it does. And so why is it attracting to certain places in the world. We could look at the chakras of the planet and see where it's going and where it's not going, and how is it, like, once it comes into the field, how, what are the magnetics of that? Woo! Have I ever felt like the universe or God has forgotten about me because of the constant pain I'm experiencing? No. I mean, that's my honest, it's a great question, Hedy, but it's not, I've never felt forgotten. But again, it's too much medicine journey, maybe. It's almost like I know too much to feel forgotten. But I also don't feel too important, right? Like, I feel like I'm the same as everybody else, but I don't ever feel like God has forsaken me. Am I making up words? Plants for sure, Bonnie, have a PEF. Are you kidding? This tree right here, because I usually do my medicine journeys in this very room. This room is where I do ayahuasca. And this tree right here does interesting things. The branches of that tree turn into the Fibonacci, that exact tree. They turn into the Fibonacci and they start to come through the window, even if the window is closed. Oh yeah. that tree comes alive when I'm on ayahuasca. So no, I don't feel like God has forgotten me. Do I think we're being taught a lesson right now? I do. I really do. We weren't going to be able to sustain that, you guys. We weren't going to be able to sustain that. But that tree tells stories. Okay, let me dive back into the question so we don't digress too much. See, I'm digressing, but there's learning in the digression too. Okay, Hillary Russell, how can one... Now hear this question from Hillary. This is a powerful question. They all are, but really, this is a really, really, really juicy one. How can one be both surrendering to the universe and also trying to have an unblocked solar plexus, which, as we know, is the seat of our power and also related to ego? It seems like one contradicts the other. How does one navigate through this? You get that? It's a really interesting question. This is the core question of humanity, Hillary. I mean, you've stuck a pin in it, right? So, because the crux of humanity, the challenge of humanity is between the ego, the will, right? The personal will. I want this. I want to create this. I want to manifest this. And the greater will, the greater good, the will of the universe, the will of God, if you want to call it that way. Okay? Yeah, so she's wondering, how do you surrender it to the universe, but also try to have an open solar plexus, which is about your personal will. Okay? And so the answer is balance. I know for sure that sometimes what I want personally is not in alignment with the highest frequency, the highest good of the planet at this time. Maybe, right? I wish I could do more work right now than I can do. That's my personal will. I have energy. I want to do it. I want to go. I want to do more things. But right now, what's the highest good of the universe is for me to do what I'm doing right now. And so the answer is surrender. I have my will, and your will is given to you, right? But I also am attuned to and trying to align with at all times the will of the greater good in the universe. So the answer is listen, pay attention. And this is gonna be something you're gonna hear me talk about all night tonight in our new moon ritual too. Be here now. You have to keep driving your car. You have to keep setting intentions. You have to keep co-creating. You have to keep visioning, right? We all have to keep doing that. We can't stop doing that. But there's also a higher intelligence at play that I have immense respect for. I am not interested in going against the higher intelligence that's at play. And that's because of the mass respect. You hear my bird? He sat there going, I have immense respect for that intelligence. And so at the moments where my will is at odds with that intelligence, that's when I surrender. It's not myest good, it's highest good. But there are also times where the universe is like, but what do you want right now? Right? Because the universe is also like, what do you want? That's right. It's a great question. Cecilia, I've been having more lucid dreaming lately. I was wondering if there's any way to have that happen more often. I feel like it's helping me meet my guides in a way where I can also work on my clear seeing all at the same time, for sure. And I love that. What I said to you, Cecilia, is set the intention. There's a 30-minute period between the time you decide to go to sleep. I mean, hopefully, let me make this clearer. Okay. I keep wanting to go back to Hedi's question too, because I do want to say this too before I don't want to digress, but I want to also be mindful of your question. So let me put parentheses around this and go back to you. The only time in my life when I have felt like God kind of forgot me was when I lost my vision, when I was diagnosed with MS. And I was pissed off because that seemed at that time more like the end of my world as I knew it than this time seems like right now for most of humanity. And I was especially pissed because I had little tiny kids. My kids were 1 and 3 when I was diagnosed with MS, and I was a main breadwinner in my family, and I held our family's insurance coverage. And there was a real risk of losing my job because part of my job required me traveling all over the world. And I couldn't get on a plane. I couldn't even walk down the stairs in my house. And I couldn't drive a car. So, and I held all of these Southern Hemisphere accounts for my company. So I owned all of New Zealand and Australia and South America. It was a very stressful time. So I got up and I worked from 4 a.m. until about 2 p.m. every day. That was my schedule because I had to work in that time zone. I did kind of feel like God forgot me for a minute. But here's what I want to tell you really quickly, just in case it's helpful for you. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here with you right now. So I stomped my little feet and got all mad and was like, why me? Why this? Why now? And I'm being productive and I'm working hard and I, me. Okay. There was a bigger plan for my life. And God was like, wait for it, shut up, and wait for it. And I was like, with all my double fire. I would never have quit that job. I loved it. I really did. I loved being able to travel and see the world and help people and teach people and meet powerful people, and I loved it. I would never have quit that job. And, God didn't sit there and hold my hand and go, oh, just trust and have faith. God was like, sit in it. I'll see you in a little while. So, was there a moment where I was on the bathroom floor in the fetal position crying and feeling really sorry for myself? There was. And I was fucking pissed. because it seemed 19,000 shades of unfair and scary AF. But I promise you, you and I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it hadn't happened. Sit with it. Because, no, and I was pissed. I was pissed. Every day I would wake up in the morning and Dave would go like this in front of my face. I would wake up and he was there and he would go like this to see if I could see how many fingers he was holding up. And he would go like this and I would say 2. And he would just put his hand down, and then the next day I would wake up in the morning and he would go and I would say 4. And then one day I woke up and he went like this and I said 3. And then he went like this and I said 4. And we both just sat there because my vision was back. And it took months. Sit with it. It's the footsteps, Candace Mills, right? Sometimes when you feel like God isn't there, it's because you don't see the footsteps. It's because God is carrying you. Now, y'all don't make me cry. But I want you to remember that story. Because if you look at me and go, well, it's easy for her, and, look at her, and what does she know about feeling sorry for herself, or what does she know about health challenges, or what does she know about shit hitting the fan or fear or whatever? It's like, I know a whole lot about it. And that's months of sitting in a bed going, am I ever going to see my kids? Like, am I ever going to be able to drive a car again? Am I ever going to be able to, I just want to go to the grocery store and buy fruit. I couldn't even go. Time and patience and trust in a higher power. God didn't forsake me or leave me. God let me sit with it. And now I get to sit here and tell you to sit with it. And not from a place of not knowing. Aho to that. So Cecilia, before you fall asleep, I couldn't. My living room was downstairs and my bedroom was upstairs. So if I wanted to go down and watch TV, I had to wait for somebody to come home and hold my hand down the stairs. I have 2 toes that are broken from that time in my life because I got pissed and I was like, I'm fucking going downstairs. And I fell down the stairs and I broke 2 of my toes. And I still have 2 toes that are kind of a little funky just because I was like, I'm going. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to do that again. That hurt really bad. Half an hour before you fall asleep is a very psychic time. And I want you to start using it with some intention. So try to get in bed, okay? Try to get in bed before you're exhausted. But not so, I don't want you to sit in bed for hours, but especially now while you have some time, right? No, I was 35 when that happened. It was 10 years ago, 36. It was not my Saturn return. Different phase. That half hour is a liminal space between waking and sleeping. And if you use that half hour to start dialoguing with your guides, calling them in, calling the guardians of the 4 directions, ask them to be present to you, ask them to show you what needs to be seen, ask them to, open the dimensional gateways and walls to allow you to penetrate into those deeper spaces, that's how you start to cultivate an active dream time. You're so cute, Cecilia. Honestly, you made my day. I haven't been feeling that cute lately. I feel cute today, though, I'll tell you. I do. I feel cute today. I didn't feel cute yesterday. Might not feel cute tomorrow. But I feel cute today. Is that helpful for you? Is this your 36th year, Nathan? May your 36th year be a little bit easier than mine. Yeah, this is why you pray before bed, and it... You know what I mean? It's like calling in, but with intention, Cecilia. So, and you can, start talking out loud. You're at home most of the time now anyway, so people aren't going to think you're nuts. You know what I mean? But start having that conversation out loud and saying, you know what, spirit guides, I'm ready for this. I love this lucid dreaming experience that I'm having. I want to have more experiences with you in dream time. I invite you in. You know, because part of it is your spirit guides don't want to overwhelm you or scare you. That's not why they're here. They're here to support you and encourage you and facilitate your growth. And so if you start welcoming in those experiences, they'll start bringing more of those experiences to you. Well, when you call in the guardians, you are opening a circle, Tina, to a certain extent, right? Like if you want to formally take your wand and open it, but when you call the guardians, especially if you call them in circular order, you are opening a circle. There are some traditions that don't use a wand to open a circle. They just call the gateways, and then they release the gateways, and that's it. I do the extra diligence in ceremony, you know what I mean? But you can also open a perpetual circle around your bed. My chumpies are under my bed. So I feel like I've got a perpetual circle there. But yeah, do it while you're driving, right? Yeah, from east to north. So if you think about it, when you call in the guardians, or if you're with me a lot, the way I call them in is I start with the east, right? Because I'm doing a directional circle that's clockwise, sunwise, right? Deosil, toward the sun. And so you go east to south to west to north. And then when you release the circle, you do it widdershins, against the sun or away from the sun, or what we call moonwise. And then you go north to west to south to east. So when you invoke the directions east to north, you're invoking a circle, a clockwise circle, right? And when you release the directions north to east, you're closing a circle. Yeah, no, I mean, and these are the questions that I love answering. And, you know, and always keep in mind, this is like what I do or what works for me too, which you might also learn from watching the comments in the feed too. Oh yeah, I sleep with my chumpies. I've got one set of chumpies under my bed. Second set of chumpies is guarding this healing grid that I have going on back here. Well, that's so great. Well, I welcome Hunter to be joining us today. I'm glad that he's enjoying that. Yeah, so thank you for inviting him in too. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this tonight. I'm not going to say it now. I don't want to take our time, but my heart, honestly, if you want to know who I'm really, a little bird right there. Hi, Katie. My heart is with the young people right now, ages 11, 12 through 18, because the people I most want to get through this time for are them. I want them to graduate from junior high and high school, and I want them to go off to college and have the college experience, and I want them to be young, and I want them to be carefree, and I want them to enjoy their lives. You know, I'm almost 47. I had most of my heydays, and I made the most of it, but it's the young ones that my heart's with the most right now. So thank you for having him there. Okay. Terry said, I have very vivid dreams, but when I awaken, I can only remember tiny bits and pieces. How do I remember more? Start to journal and be more intentional about it. Keep a little, you know, like I said, I don't keep a big ass notebook next to my bed, but like keep a little thing of Post-it notes or a little small journal next to your bed and just start making notes. You know what I mean? Yeah, release the directions in the morning, Tanya. That's okay, for sure. So set the intention. Dream recall, by the way, still bite is the best crystal you can work with for recall of dreams. It's not so much about astral dreaming or astral projection, because that's when you want to get into your tektites and your moldavites, your Libyan gold. Those are the best crystals. You know, if you want to call them crystals, they're really tectonic glass, you know, from meteoric collisions. But those are the best like crystals for lucid dreaming and active dreaming. But if you want the recall of it, still bite is the best for that. Yeah. Check in with your littles right now and ask them every day how they're feeling. And then just listen. How are you feeling right now? Oh, I miss my friends. Oh, okay, well, what can we do to help you with that right now? You know, just ask them how they're feeling. It's a big deal. Hey, Don Armijo, can you, in my printed notes, it cut off some of your message. I think you're asking about the difference between blue sage and white sage. So blue sage, which grows wild here in SoCal, I've got it growing in my garden. It's one of my favorite plants. It smells a lot like white sage actually, but blue sage is a clarifier. It's really good for psychic development, divination. It's a different variety of the salvia family of plants. The salvia family has hundreds of strains of different kinds of sage, just like the Artemisia family has hundreds of strains, right? And so these are big plant families, and then you have Salvia apiana, which is white sage, and you have the other strains of sage too. And they all do slightly different things. There's desert sage, which is a strain of sage that grows, you can find it as far north and east as Nevada and Las Vegas, and it grows sort of south too. You can find it in New Mexico and Arizona too. And they all have kind of a different like vibe to them, and it's kind of different energy. Nothing is as strong as white sage. White sage is the big bandage. Every other kind of sage comes close, but it's not the same in terms of removing energy. So if you're allergic to desert sage, which some people are, not most people, but some people are, then you want to experiment, Carolyn, with the other members of the salvia family, because just because you're allergic to one member of the salvia family does not mean you're going to be allergic to the other members of that family too. Oh, April, I'm sending sweet love to your kitty. You know how I feel about cats. So I will be holding space for your baby. Everything will be fine. Okay, let's see. Heading now to Tracy Rush. She said, we talked about this a while ago, but it's something I really struggle with. It's about leaving the dead with the dead. There are 2 deaths I struggle with. The first is my cat. The other is my grandfather. While they're both still very close to me in spirit form, I can't seem to accept that they're no longer on this plane. Yet I feel oddly closer to them now. I'm really struggling to find peace with their passing. My heart always seems to ache for them. I really appreciated this question, by the way. So I don't particularly love the Western model of grief management. I'm a little bit critical of it because in the West, what we say is people need closure. You know, that's why we have funerals and that's why we have memorial services and stuff so you can get closure. But you and I both know, I mean, if you've ever lost anyone really important to you, and I have, there's kind of no closure. There is acceptance and acknowledgement of a different orientation in that relationship. But I'm not any better about losing my grandmother today than I was when I was 26, which is how old I was when she died. For your reference, that's 20 years ago. Okay. And so I don't need closure. I'm not going to get closure. What I need is to acknowledge that she and I now have a different type of relationship, right? So I'm not saying the rituals aren't helpful, but I'm saying I think in the West there's this idea that like, okay, well you got your ritual and now, on you go. I think it's about learning to work with them energetically, and it's about the acknowledgement piece. And by the way, acknowledgement is one of our themes for Pillars of Priestessing in April. Because I think it's a really big deal to start to acknowledge some realities in our lives. It doesn't mean that we can't set intentions and work to change our experiences or experience a soul shift on a new level. It just means, sometimes there's real medicine in acknowledging she's not here with me in body anymore, but she's still with me in spirit, Like, I feel her around me all the time. And, of course, certain circumstances can complicate that, right? It's like, especially if there's a sudden loss, like Lori is saying, that's different. My grandmother was a sudden loss we weren't expecting. And so I think, and Alexis has struggled herself this year with a loss as well. We all have had our own experiences. And so I think it's more about having compassion for yourself and then learning to work with that new kind of relationship. And that's where I think we are at, I hate to say this, but at an advantage. Because if you're somebody who's lost someone you love and you don't acknowledge that energetically they're still present, how much harder is that loss for you, right? Yeah, I know. I just ate lunch, so I'm kind of like trying not to fully burp, but there's energy moving all the time. So thank you for that. That question was a great question too. So Tracy Kennedy, considering my deepest love and respect for Journey, I have an important question. The Soul Shift Retreat was my first real experience with breathwork, and it was unforgettable. She's like, Athena, I don't know if you recall, but it was insanely intense. Yes, I do recall. I loved being there with you. I don't think it was personally my own trauma and wounding, but deep down inside, I carry some wounding. I don't know if it'd be smart for me to take that kind of journey on my own. You referenced plant medicine in the blog, and what I experienced was very much what I imagined to be a tiny taste of ayahuasca. Do you think I'm able to navigate that deep solo? So my advice here, the question is about breathwork journey, and also more broadly about journeying solo. And what I said to you in my comments here, Tracy, is I want to introduce you to the concept of a sitter, S-I-T-T-E-R. And I don't mean babysitter for your children. I mean a sitter in journey. So it is best for every type of deep shamanic journey that goes beyond the drum, including breath work, to have someone with you who's a sitter. Someone who can witness you, who can comfort you, because even in breath work, it can get tight and hard, okay, and deep. And like I have had breathwork experiences where I needed help. I got somewhere, I've told you about that journey before, so I won't take your time now, but I had one particular breathwork journey which was as intense as any ayahuasca journey I've ever had. And I wasn't sure what was happening. I mean, I literally thought that this stone was going to fall on my face. Like, it was so real. And at the time, the shaman who was there came over and put her hands on my knees. I mean, she could see that I was shaking. I mean, I didn't know what was happening, right? So having a sitter is important. A very important stone from the Aztec civilization came and almost landed on my face during a breathwork journey. And so I was in the journey space, and it looked like it was falling from the ceiling. It was so real, and it literally was the sunstone, the sun calendar, and it came flying at me, and then it stopped like right here, and it was hovering above my face, but it was like as big as the room, right? But I could see it was stone. And so I'm in this circle of people. It was this weekend retreat, and this particular teacher doesn't allow you to eat food during her weekend retreat, so it was an intense thing. And so this stone, the Aztec solar calendar was like vibrating in front of my face. It came back to me in ayahuasca journey in October, by the way. And so I was starting to shake because I literally thought maybe it was going to fall on me and something was going to happen. And so the shaman came and held me by the knees, like literally was holding my knees. And so when I opened my eyes at the end of the journey, she looked at me in the circle and she said, "Your Aztec ancestors are here." And I didn't tell her what I saw. Now, she's a powerful shaman. And I literally looked at her and I just burst into tears. And so we were supposed to go around and share. And that's when I created Azteca perfume. It was such a weird story. I mean, that's a whole story for another time. But they offered me amaranth flowers in this breathwork journey. After the calendar almost dropped on my head, they offered me these amaranth flowers and told me to go make a perfume. And so there's amaranth as extract with mango in Azteca perfume, which is where that came from. So anyway, it was a validation that I had Aztec roots, which the shaman that I do ayahuasca with now, I'll take 2 minutes to tell you this story. So because this is a digression that might actually be useful for you. Or interesting for you at least. So the shaman that I do ayahuasca with now, I spend about an hour of each one of my ayahuasca journeys channeling for him. I turn the tables. And so I just read for him. I just talk for an hour. Like, I see this and I see that, and look at it. And he shapeshifts so I open my eyes when I'm in ayahuasca a lot of the time, and he morphs into like animals sometimes, or he'll morph into these other things. So this last time we journeyed, which was October, I opened my eyes and I was watching him work on me. And all of a sudden, his face was covered in paint. He had white stripes up each cheek, and he had blue and orange and all these paint colors on his face. And then this feathered headdress came like over his head, and it was, I got chills all over, these big white feathers over down his back. And I remember he was standing on my right side working on my abdomen, as he does body work on me while I'm in ayahuasca. And then he went to the other side of the table, and I could see the makeup down the left side of his, or the right side of his face. When he changed sides, like the feathers, I could see everything still. So I looked at him and I said, "Don Chicha." And he looks over at me and he goes, "What?" And I said, "You're Chicha." And he stopped and he said, well, tell me more about that. And they showed me his name in Nahuatl, which is the pre-Spanish Aztec language. And it was Chicha, and then it was Queutl, like long. And I said, "She's telling me that she calls you Chicha for short." And so he said, later he goes, "Do you know what chicha is?" Like, chicha is a fermented corn beverage that was actually used in ceremonies. And so I can't remember how it came about. Like, my memory's fuzzy. It's in all my notes. But I said it's Chichaquetl, like the long Nahuatl name. And he goes, "I don't know how to pronounce that." And I looked at him and I said, "Neither does she. That's why she calls you Chicha." So anyway, I think we knew each other then too, but I fully watched him shapeshift into this Aztec priest while he was working on me. And I mean, the feathers were like, he's a big dude anyway, but it was like, right? Really awesome. So anyway, I have an Aztec lineage. I don't know what it is, but between my experiences with Chicha, Don Chicha, which she kept calling him, and even to this day, I'm like, "Hey, Chicha," when he calls me. I changed his contact info in my phone to Chicha. Kind of fun, right? Anyway, me and my ayahuasca stories. Let's see. So always have a sitter. You can do breath work on your own, but I still recommend having a sitter, even if it's just a friend or your partner who can sit with you, because breath work is so intense that you can still get overwhelmed. You think I was an Aztec priestess? I think it's possible. I really do. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I've always had an affinity. And whenever I'm in Mexico, because I've been to Mexico many times, it's like I literally forget how to speak English. My Spanish is like so accurate, and there's no reason for that. I speak Spanish a couple times a week, but not every day, but I go completely fluent, and then I have trouble with English. And Dave's always like, "What happens when you go to Mexico? Like, all of a sudden you're Mexican." I'm like, well, maybe I am, right? Woo! I hope so, Lorian. Hopefully before September. Okay. Sylvia said, next question, "I'm behind in watching everything." But she said, "In the healing ceremonies, can I combine it with Reiki?" And my suggestion is yes. And you should combine it with Reiki. Reiki is one of the most complementary modalities you can work with. It synchronizes with every other. Oh, thank you for that, Joy. It synchronizes with every other healing modality. It just does. I mean, and we're talking about Usui Reiki, right? Traditional Reiki, the main system. But it's always complementary. I've never found a time when Reiki was not appropriate or relevant, and it only adds to the energy of an experience. So I think more is better. Right? I'll have to remember that, Cecilia, that's your button for me to speak Spanish to you. Okay. I used to be shy about speaking Spanish. Now I'm not. Like, somebody starts speaking Spanish, I'm like, I'll go for it. I don't care if my accent's not perfect or whatever. Maybe it's the priestess in me coming forward. Elisa Speaker said, "So I know we got the tuning fork instead of the extractor this month," which, by the way, all of the extractors are now in the building at Sage Goddess. I'm so happy to tell you. So your Crystal Masters tools are safe and well. But she said, "I'm seeing my neurologist tomorrow, Thursday. I'm going to ask her about it too, but I had an MRI done to see what's going on. She's been seeing weird things, spots and sparkles that aren't floaters. And she said the results have come back as being unremarkable, but they found a 1 centimeter cyst on her pineal gland. What can we do to help with our pineal glands? Diet changes are a big thing, which is good. Here's the problem. Decalcification is really tricky because it's our food, it's our water, it's the air that we breathe. Everything in our environment is calcifying the pineal gland. And so there are all different theories about this, that the third eye stones are very helpful, right? To activate, to decalcify the pineal gland. Fluoride in your water, it's better if you can have unfluoridated water, or, work with toothpaste and mouthwash and stuff that's not fluoridated. So that's another, way to decalcify. But it's really hard because I think calcification is just part of being a human being right now. And so, again, you can set an intention, you can meditate. Sound tools. I'm going to be playing my singing bowl tonight during our new moon ceremony. But, even just a little bit of sound every day. Goes so far to decalcify. So working with sound tools is very important, and doing your best to follow dietary protocols that support it too, are my best suggestions. And then keep us posted. I'll be praying for a quick and easy recovery for you. And maybe there's some kind of, this is a G note, I believe. I actually do. I'm getting this intuitive hit for you, Elisa, that there's some kind of healing on the other side of this. Like maybe a soul gift or something is going to emerge for you from this process. So it's happening for a reason is what my spirit guides are telling me, and just stay with the process because I think there's something here for you through it. Yeah, the solfeggios are great for it too, Lorian, so thank you for that. So the harmonics, the sound, the frequencies are really good for keeping that third eye open. And you know what drives me nuts is people have sound tools in their home and tuning forks, and then they don't use them every day. It's like, why do you have that if you're not going to use it every day, right? So keep continuing to work with them. Singing tools right now, your best bet is eBay. A lot of them are produced in China. I've had hit or miss experiences with them. Each one of the chakras has a note, and we actually went through this in Crystal Masters this month. I think we went through the chakras and the notes. So go back through your Crystal Masters content, and then you can work with that particular tone that's aligned to that chakra, but you don't have to. Sacred sound is sacred sound. We like to work with specific frequencies for certain things, but at the end of the day, if you have one tuning fork, work your tuning fork, right? Are they taking low bids on eBay right now? Probably, because people are not buying as much stuff online. So I think it's probably a good time for you to get some tools at a really good price too. And continue to support Etsy too. If you have sellers who are on Etsy, they need your support right now too. Susan Hazard asks, can salt lamps be used during healing sessions? They sure can. They're really helpful for cleansing and purifying the air in your space. I have a salt lamp downstairs here at the house, kind of in one of our main living areas, because it's just a constant source of renewal of the energy in the home. And so if you get a good LED bulb in your salt lamp, you can pretty much leave it on all day long. And so, yeah, the shipping I don't know, China, I'll tell you, our Chinese suppliers are already back online in China. Might surprise you to hear that, but they're already back online. So if you watch the media, it sounds like the whole world is shut down, but they're actually not. Most of China is, at least in our world, with our suppliers, which are not in that particular province, but they're outside of that province, are actually already shipping to us and manufacturing. So in any case, if you want to buy something on eBay, might be a good idea to go and support them right now too. Okay. Jenny Holloway, hey Athena, in the first session of live readings you did for Soul Shift this year, something came up that really resonated with me. And this is another one, really listen to this question. It sure is hopeful, you guys. I will tell you again, I am supremely hopeful and optimistic. And I don't say that as a woo-woo, airy-fairy person, and I don't say that as somebody who's uninformed. I'm telling you, I am hopeful and optimistic. For real. That we will get through this and we will be stronger for it. I really, really am. So listen to this question. The reading was from your Pema Chodron book. It said something along the lines of, you should never have expectations of people. You should just be kind. So the issue I'm having is priestessing for people and it being taken for granted, because priestessing is tough. It's not an easy path to walk. And I understand that I made that choice. It's just so difficult when your hard work is taken for granted and people take advantage of it. I feel like I do and sacrifice for everyone every damn day. And none of it is appreciated, acknowledged, or reciprocated. That's why I love this question. I'm so grateful that Jenny asked it, because I think it's kind of like she struck a chord, you know? I know I shouldn't have those expectations, but how do I drop them? It's so hard to give sometimes when you get nothing back. It's draining me, and I'm afraid that I'm building resentment. It sounds so easy in theory to not have expectations. It's such a simple solution to a lot of problems, but it's not easy. I'm priestessing my ass off over here, and no one gives a shit. I shouldn't expect anything back, but I guess I do, even though I don't want to. How do I let go of expectation without gaining resentment? How do I move through this and continue on my path to becoming a priestess? Thank you in advance. Yeah, I hear you. By the way, I see your comment. Angel said, I'm scared. You know, she's fearful for her health. Try not to go there. And one thing I will tell you is too, it's really easy right now when you have a slight fever, or when your throat feels kind of scratchy, or when your nose starts to run. Like, it's high allergy season over here. And all of those things are common symptoms that I struggle with. Like, my nose is running a lot right now, even though I'm taking Zyrtec. And so try to focus on your health and don't give in to panic and anxiety. It's really, really, really important. So thank you for saying that, just so that we could respond to you. But it is scary. It really is scary. That's right. Try not to worry so much, because, and then your mind is this thing where it's like, and then it's like, oh yes, and then that, and then that. Now I read this thing and I saw this thing online and it said if you have that, then you blah, 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 blah. It's like, try not to let yourself get into that situation, right? You might think so, but I read something that said that a runny nose is a symptom. So then I was like, well, God, and it's like, no. Don't let fear take over. It's very good advice from Wild Scarlet. That's right. Okay, so here's my response. Are you ready? For what it's worth. Because this was a big ass question, and I feel like I have a little tiny answer to it. It's a question back to you. Is it a sacrifice? Or is it a privilege? Is it a sacrifice or is it a privilege? I say this to you as somebody who's been doing this for a really long time. It's both, right? But if you look at what we do as a sacrifice, I'm giving this up for you. I'm giving my time for you. I'm giving my energy for you. I'm giving my wisdom for you. Then if I look at it like that, then I'm going to get resentful of you if you don't say thank you, or if you don't listen, or if you don't follow what I recommend, or if you don't shift your shit. So the way I look at what I do, and again, this is just my perspective, right? Well, but here's the thing. Ego's always part of the equation. I mean, there's no way to be human and not have an active ego. Anybody who tells you that isn't being honest with you. we do our best to minimize it and to recognize that we're not the ones with the power, and we're not the ones doing the healing, and we're not the, you remind yourself of that all the time, then you're like, yeah, I'm not going to take credit for that, right? Ego's not a bad thing unless it's running the show. Like a shitty 13-year-old who's like, I'm going to have my way. Yeah, then we have to check the ego. But just having an ego is human, right? So here's an example from my own life this week. I put myself out there in front of God and everybody. I have friends on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, who are former professors of mine from almost 30 years ago now. I had two of my freshman college professors I'm still friends with on Facebook. I have more than 1,000 of my former college students and university and graduate students with me on Facebook. I've got really conservative people. I have a couple of public figures. I've got kind of God and everybody on there, right? I've got my cousins who are weird sometimes, and right? I put my stuff out there all the time. I don't really care, right? And most of the time, I think they probably aren't even looking, or they probably don't even know who I am or what I do. I don't care. I put myself out there. This last week, I have been getting messages for the first time from some of those people saying, I have been following you all this time. I'm so grateful for what you're doing. Never said anything in all that time. And I'm over here going, well, maybe they don't like it. Maybe they think it's weird. Well, if they thought it was too weird, maybe they would just unfriend me. Right? They are listening, and they are watching, and they are paying attention. But they're not saying, thank you, or I'm so grateful, or could you do that again, or I really appreciated that. You know what I mean? If I waited for the thank you, or the wow, that was helpful, or and if I, you know what I mean, then maybe I would stop doing it. But here I am sitting here this week going, they're really watching. They're grateful. They like it. They're into it. And this is the first time they're saying it, but some of them made clear they've been watching for years, just kind of quietly, right? You never know the impact that you're having. So the way I look at the work that I do is, when I do something for you guys, there's like a massive articulated wave of gratitude. And it's so nice, you know what I mean? Because I know you guys are receiving, and I know that you see I'm doing my best, and I know it's useful, and I know that, it's met with a reciprocity and all of that. But so much of what I do goes out there, and nobody ever says thank you. And yet, if I was to stop doing it, that's when I would hear it. And so I look at what I do as a public service. Because when I pray, when I hold the space, when I drum by myself and nobody's watching, when I decide to trust, right? When I show up in love instead of in fear, when I volunteer with those fifth graders, and I'm going to cry now, but I'm so glad I did that. I'm not going to see those fifth graders again that I mentored. I'm not going to see them again. Not as fifth graders. I'm not going to see them again. After... I'm sorry. I think that's just hitting me for the first time. Ooh. I'm sorry. I'm not going to see them again like that. Because when they get to junior high school, adults aren't allowed to come on campus anymore. We're not allowed to volunteer anymore. And I didn't really have time to do that. I'm really sorry. I'm so glad I did it. Because maybe something I taught them you know what I mean, resonates with them right now. Maybe even on like a subconscious level, you know. I didn't know the last time I went a couple weeks ago when I did the singing bowls. I didn't know that was the last time I was going to see them. I was supposed to go 2 weeks from now. I was supposed to see them 3 more times. And they're not going back to school this year. I'm in service. And I can't, just like you can't, wait for the thank you. Because the thank you might come 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when they parent their children a little bit differently, you know? Maybe I can do it online. It's hard to reach them, and then there's all these privacy things with public education and, like, you know what I mean? It's a long answer to your question, but it depends on how you look at what you do. And if you see it as service, and if you see it as an honor, then you're not resentful. Then you're like, you know what? I did my work here. I love you guys. Thank you. Fuck, I didn't think I was gonna cry. I think honestly, like, I think it just hit me that was it. I didn't think about it before. I think it just hit me for the first time. But I loved it. And I didn't have time to do it. And even my team was like, really? Like, we need meetings, we need time, we need, you know? We're really lucky to be able to lead people, to show them a way, to bring beauty, to be authentic. You know what I mean? We're really lucky. Now, I know, and I know what it's like to be like, I am trying to priestess you people, and you are doing a bad job of hearing this or receiving this or whatever. Like, I know what those feelings are like too. Like, I taught you better than that. What are you doing? And why aren't you? And you should be. And I have those moments too. I have those moments too, you know, but it's like, it all matters. Nothing you do in love is ever in vain. Nothing you do in love is ever in vain. It is seen, it is appreciated, it is valued. There is a universe that's watching you. And just like those little people who maybe had like a 10-minute attention span for me every month when I went, right? But you know, every time I pulled up to the school for those sessions, they ran to my car because I came at lunchtime. And they weren't supposed to do that, but they ran to my car. You're here, you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here, you know? They ran to my car. And there are people running to your car too. And even if they don't do what you think they should be doing, or, you know, showing up and like they learned something, you know what I mean? Or at the end of your yoga class, they're like, whatever, or it doesn't matter. Human beings don't always know how to receive. But it doesn't mean they're not internalizing. It doesn't mean they're not listening. It doesn't mean that 5 years from now, I'm really grateful. I don't like to fall apart on you guys because I'm here to lead you, not to draw upon you. But it's really nice to be held for a second. People are listening to you. And so try not to get frustrated when They don't react or express or in the way that you think they should based on what you offered. Because maybe there's something else going on internally, right? I know. Well, thanks for letting me be your sister for a minute. I really didn't put that together until today. It's like waves, kind of, you know? But I really enjoyed that last session with them, so I made it count. I love you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, maybe it does come down to your motivation for priestessing, right? I mean, my motivation for priestessing is that I most of the time, 90% of the time, I have a teacher's heart. And I do believe that what I know is valuable. And I want to share it with people because I do think it helps their lives. So that is part of my intention for priestessing. But most of the time, it's because I won't be here forever. You won't be here forever. I mean, these are just realities of human existence. And later on, I want there to be records of this information, and I want there to be a ripple of what we're doing. And I want this planet to continue, and I want people to know what these ancient texts and these ancient practices and this ancient wisdom was all about. And if we as wisdom keepers don't continue to share that information, it can be lost. It has been lost before. And so that is my motivation for priestessing. Now, I can teach 10 different people. One of them's not paying attention. One of them thinks I'm nuts. One of them doesn't like the way I taught it. One of them, got distracted. But 3 of them were listening and are going to integrate that information, and it's going to make a difference in their life, right? So I think part of it is about deciding to reframe, right, your perspective on what we do. Because if you see it more as service, you won't be resentful. If you see it more as an offering without strings attached, I'm giving you this so I can get that. You know what I mean? I'm giving you this and I want you to tell me that you whatever, right? Well, you guys are the 3. And then there's the everybody else. Like, who's that crazy lady with the big roots? Gotta make myself laugh so I don't cry. Anyway, we're going to be done here in just a minute too. Sherry's got game night. So anyway, hang with me. I'm going to go for another 3 minutes. And then everything I didn't get to, which is another page and a half, I'm going to follow up with an audio recording for you either tomorrow morning or Friday. And so everybody will get answers to their questions before we're done. No, I did not say big boobs. But thank you for that. I meant big roots. Okay. Faith Ellis, how do you balance holding space for so many people? I get so drained. And then how do you not get distracted by the negativity and fear and just stay centered? I mean, I think we've kind of been talking about this, right? I balance holding space for so many people, honestly, by not taking it on as my own stuff. I can love you and witness you and support you and nourish you and nurture you and still say, I can't fix this or solve this or change this for you because it's not mine. And so I can witness you, and it takes none of my energy to do that. It literally takes none of my energy to show up for you. It takes intention. It takes space, time, right? Like an hour and a half of my afternoon today. But I am not drained or tired or impatient or frustrated or resentful because it's not coming from me. And that's why I always say, like, and I enjoy it. I do. I mean, I love having these conversations, but I would not enjoy it if I felt obligated to fix it. I would not enjoy it if there was like a right answer and I had to figure it out, or you weren't going to be happy. That would put us in some weird dynamics where no, I wouldn't enjoy this at all. I would probably dislike this a lot. And so, well, and family can try and suck you in, but that's when you become the priestess of your family too. You know, and I've had those tough conversations with family before where it's like, if you insist on being here where you are, in this pit of negative stuff, I can't meet you there. You have to come out of that pit that you're in and go over here. I can meet you over here, but I am not getting in there with you. That's a shit pit. So if you want to live there and hang out there and do everything there, then you're gonna do that by yourself. But if you can step out of the shit pit for a second, even just one step, I can meet you right over here. But otherwise, I will be here, and when you're ready to get out of that shit pit, I will be right outside. And I'm not getting in there with you. Getting in someone's shit pit is not loving them. That's codependence, right? That's pretending that you can fix, solve, or change. And the answer is no. That's right. Meet me outside the shit pit. Hashtag shit pit. There are people who really enjoy the shit pit, and I'm not kidding. Some of them are in my family. I'm sure you have some in yours. Because in the shit pit, you get pity. You get other people who are in shit pits who will be your friends, and then you can shit pit it up together, right? You get a lot of pity. You get a lot of, oh, I'm so sorry for you. That's so very sad for you. That must be terrible for you. So some people really like that. That's what you get in the shit pit. When you step out of the shit pit and you're a little bit empowered, you don't get as much of that stuff. So that can seem very lonely for people, right? You got to step out of the pit. And then I'll meet you. I'll be right outside. But you get back in that pit, you're on your own. That can be tough love. But it's also self-preservation. You don't have to take on your dysfunction in order to be in a relationship with you. That's not even sacred relationship. It's really true. And you know it's true because you've got people in the shit pit too in your life. I guarantee you do. If you're like, I don't think I know anybody who's like that, take another look. And then the last question was, how do you not get distracted by the negativity and fear and just stay centered? So I will end here with this tonight. I'm going to draw a line as I always do, because otherwise I forget where I was. I'm going to draw a line with the edge of my Palo Santo with the ash, because I'm going to pick up with Michelle Coughlin. Michelle said, how do you remember all the things at all the times? I don't know, Michelle. I honestly, I have a photographic memory. And when I was little, they had a doctor come and follow me around. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I was in kindergarten, because they thought I was some like genetic anomaly. I actually do have a photographic memory. It helped me become a professor, to be honest. I'm probably like, not a savant, but like probably somewhere on that spectrum, because if I see something, I remember it and like never forget it. I have a weird like catalog in my head of information. I'm not bragging, because honestly it's annoying and I think it makes me seem crazy sometimes, but that is the honest answer to that. Oh, I love you, Alexis. If Alexis was here, she would give me a pen. And wasn't Alexis just adorable this morning? You're a cutie pie, Alexis. If I didn't love you to death as it was, I just fell in love with you all over again today. It is annoying, and it makes you seem kind of like unstable sometimes to people when your memory's too good. Okay, how do I stay centered? And I'm going to leave you with this, but this is very important. This is going to get you through the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever the situation that we're in really is going to be like, okay? This moment is all you have. It is so important to stay here. And sometimes it's minute to minute. Today is Tuesday. It's 4:34 p.m. Pacific time. Today is not April 10th. Today is not September 12th. Today is not Christmas 2020. Today is not Friday. Today is Tuesday, and it's now 4:35 p.m. Pacific time. Mindfulness, mantra, self-dialogue, and choosing where to put my attention are my strategies for how I don't fall in. And it's really important that all of us right now don't fall in. Donna's like, September 12th is my birthday. I love it. Right now is the ultimate test of how mindful you can be. Because, and if you watch too much news, they'll be like April this or May that or second quarter or third quarter. And you're like, okay, now you start going, oh my gosh, May or June, or what about summer school? Or my kids can start college in the fall. I immediately stop, drop, and roll into the present moment and remind myself it is Tuesday. It is now 4:36 p.m. Pacific time. And in this moment, we are together, we're healthy, we're well, the sun is shining, the birds stop singing. It's the new moon in Aries. We're going to set some intentions tonight. Like, it's about being present. And I don't think that means like not knowing what's going on, but it definitely means you got to check it. Because if things are pulling you out of this moment and stressing you out, it's probably because you're not in this moment anymore. Now you're ahead of the game 2 days, you're ahead of the game 5 days, you're worried about next month. And you can do that if you want, but I'm telling you right now, you have no control over that. You only have this moment. You can't undo yesterday and you can't predict tomorrow. We set intentions and then we let it be. We put that pot on the stove and we let it cook. And we trust that the universe has our back because, and let's go full circle back to where we started tonight, right? Oh, I'm so thankful for you guys. What a situation that was live, right? I remember those weeks when I first got diagnosed and lost my vision, where I sat there going, am I going to lose my job? How am I going to take care of my kids? I'm the one with the health insurance. I can't even walk down the stairs. Am I going to get my vision back next week? Am I going to get it back the week after? What if it takes 2 months? And then one doctor was like, it could be 90 days at the end before you have your vision back. And I was like, it can't be 90 days. Ended up being 60 days. I had to really learn to be in that moment and to find what was good and beautiful about that moment while I was in it. And this is, if you see me not freaking out right now, it's only because of that. It's not an act. I'm not like putting on a priestessing show for you and then secretly breaking down every 5 minutes. I'm okay right now, but it's because I've already seen what this is like. And I learned the first time, so I don't have to learn it again this time. But if you've never been in a situation where you've lost perceived control, then this probably is kind of scary for you. The rest of us are like, it'll be fine. The human spirit is resilient. And, and I believe that you're going to be healthy and well, and then everything is going to be okay. And I'm saying that from a place of having really questioned it before. And having God just go, sit with it. I'm still in charge. And going, okay. I have a little bit more choice in what that looks like and how I react than I did back then. I mean, I can go downstairs and walk down the stairs if I want to right now. Hallelujah, right? But anyway, I say that to uplift you, not to judge you in any particular way. I mean, if you are really struggling right now, I see you there. But I'm telling you, the best way out of this is through this, and it will take time, but your faith is everything. And it is not misplaced, right? That's right. And whatever your moments have been like, maybe you didn't lose your vision, but maybe you lived through a war, or you lost a family member, or, Denise was allergic to the sun, couldn't go out for 5 years. I did see this in Journey. I did. 3 years ago. I did. And I do truly hope that everything I saw doesn't come to pass. I don't think it has to. But that journey has been exceedingly accurate. And at the time, the few people I told about it, they were like, oh, come on. And now people are like, I did. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to freak you out. I did see some really intense things. But at the same time that I saw all of that, I was being reassured that everything would be okay and that we would make it through it together. So there is a happy ending, even if it looked overwhelmingly odd. And at the time, it was like, no, that's not going to happen. And I was like, yeah. Aho, everybody. Yeah. I said enough for now. I mean, again, may I be wrong. I would love to be wrong in what I saw. But we do need a reset. And I'm optimistic. I am a hopeful and optimistic person. I really, really am. So, thank you for incarnating at this exact same time so that we could be together. I'm going to go have a glass of wine because holy F, that was a lot of energy that I just ran. If you ever want to know what really matters to me, you can. I'm not a crier. I am not a crying person. Like if I cry, something really has to strike me. But man, the moment I was like, I'm not going to see those kids. I'm not going to see those kids. Not that way. That hit me to the core. So I'm going to do a little afternoon drinking. Just one glass. And tell you that I love you. And stay tuned. The follow-up audio for this is coming. I do need a donut, but I don't have a donut. I did bake cookies last night, so I'm going to go have one of my chocolate chip cookies that I made and a big-ass glass of Cabernet. And I will see you for a new moon ceremony at 6 p.m. If you get a moment, will you beam a little light from your heart to those 5th graders? I'm going to raise the vibe for them this afternoon. May they know they are loved by me and by you on this day, wherever they are. Amen, aho, and so it is. I'll see you at 6. Love you. See you soon. Thank you for being there, Alexis.